Hey everybody, Ben for the Bonehead podcast, and we've not got any Blood Bowl news for you today, but the Adepticon preview was last night, and do you know there's some cool stuff in there, some of which I do think is worth a jolly good robbing for Blood Bowl. So I thought we'd take a few minutes and just have a look at some of the top bits and pieces, so if you are tangentially interested in what Games Workshop's doing, then you kind of get a heads up. Okay, so let's have a look at the GW website. So, featured news, Adepticon preview. So this happened in the middle of the night, UK time, 2 AM. If it was Blood Bowl, if Blood Bowl had been listed, I would have got up. And I'm not going to lie, I did check in the middle of the night just to see if they dropped any unexpected goodies, which they absolutely did not. So we don't have to worry too much about that. So we're still pending. Now, there is one very interesting piece of Games Workshop news today that I'm hoping means that we will, in fact, get something at some point. But we'll come to that in a minute. So let's have a quick look at the preview. So let's go from the bottom up, I think, because we're Warhammer fans here. And the first place to start is with the Old World. So there was 3 drops for Old World. And the first of them are 2 things that if you've been around for as long as I have, or in fact a little bit younger, then you will recognise this. So they have basically announced Beastmen before for the Old World, and now they're bringing back the Wood Elves too. These are the last 2 races that are listed in the Old World tome. And that, well, we already know what the next one is, so I'm not going to slow roll you there. No, I'll slow you roll a little bit more if you don't know. So Beastmen, they spoiled this at the last preview that we were going to get the Beastmen back, and with the exception of having some of the newer monsters that were discontinued, so they're kind of like 7th, 8th edition stuff, it's all very much to be expected. You've got a bunch of characters, you've got the Beastmen, you've got the Ungors, you've got the Beast Giants, the Sigmar, and the other big gore. Then you've got Minotaurs, or I think they're called Bulgors. I'm not a massive fan of those Minotaur models. They're not the best ones that Games Workshop have done, but then again, we've been spoiled by people like Brute Fun and stuff, haven't we? So, you know, other Minotaurs, your Minotaurs may vary. And they're bringing back some of the monsters, including the Slobber Jobber, or whatever it's called. And in the Wood Elf side, there's a whole load of plastics from 6th, 7th and 8th edition. So you've got the classic Glade Guard from 6th and 7th, the plastic ones, that really do catch me a bit. Like I am a bit of a closet Wood Elf fan. And then you've got the War Dancers, you've got the robed guys with big axes. I can't remember what they're called actually. We'll have a look at the article in a bit more. Then you've got some golden oldies as well. So you've got the 4th edition, maybe 5th edition, 4th or 5th, maybe 5th edition Wood Elf Glade Dragon with its noxious fumes, and that is just an absolute classic of a model. That is one I grew up with a picture of, really wanting that model, and never really got around to get it. So the fact that it's kicking around is quite cool. You've also got the 6th edition Tree Man over here, I think a 7th edition Warhawk Rider, and then you've got the Prancing Ponies, you know, the guys bouncing around on deers, which, yeah, fine, very Wood Elfy. So yes, those are the 2 factions. So we've got the Beastmen Brayherds Arcane Journal coming. Does it detail which of the Primal Wild Herds and the All-Devouring Minotaur Blood Herds? All right. Now we've got some very good STLs for Minotaurs. So I'll tell you what, the thing about the Old World that they do so well, I mean, square bases, yeah, whether you like them or not, the backdrops, the way they frame all these releases, oh, they make me so happy. That's what's going to pull me into fantasy gaming, is the backdrops and the way it looks, not the gameplay, which is hilarious. So yes, you've got these coming, you've got the plastic guys coming, you've got a bunch of heroes, so Beastmen coming, you've got some of the older 4th, 5th and 6th edition metal heroes are coming back in metal. Those guys are from the oh gosh, what was it called, where they put Beasts of Chaos with Warriors of Chaos and stuff like that in 6th edition, and these guys are even older. They're the old school ones, which is cool. Oh yeah, the Centaurs. They were never the great, they were a bit derpy. Then you've got some other bits coming back, so the old Chariot, the big tusk gore chap, which is again totally fine. Then you've got the Wood Elf Realms book that is coming. Now do we have the Armies of Infamy? Okay, so the Armies of Infamy for Wood Elves The background for Orion, the King in the Woods, and Araloth, the Lord of Talsin, as well as Armies of Infamy for both. So you're going to get a Wild Hunt, definitely, and then something else. I don't know who that person is. The Lord of Talsin is a mighty hero, most at home in the thick of combat, shoulder to shoulder with Eternal Guard. Okay, so you're kind of going to get like with the dwarf one, you get like a royal host. I think we'll probably get that for Wood Elves as well. Those guys, cannot remember what they're called. Are they the same kit as the spear guys? Yeah, they are. Oh, I don't know. That was outside of my realm, as it were. Then you've got Old Hornboy and some of the older Wood Elf heroes. Yeah, to be expected. And then you've got a couple of older models. That, again, is another 5th edition style model, which I really love, because that is kind of like, that's my era. That's where I started, sort of. And this is where I kind of finished with 6th. And I don't think I played 7th. I do love this treeman. So this is the first thing that we can look at and go, ooh, that's cool for Blood Bowl. Now, this is going to be returning, and I really do love this treeman model. The Games Workshop trees for Blood Bowl are short and stout. There are some very good alternative sculpts available for trees, but this is really cool. So I think we're going to see this come up a lot because it's just such a good model to have. That actually I just can't see people passing up the opportunity to have that tree man, because that was cracking. And back when Blood Bowl was kind of in its hiatus, in its slumber, if you will, that tree man was pretty popular kicking around if you couldn't find Durthu. All right, so the big news for this entire preview is Cathay is here. So Cathay is your kind of like Asian Chinese themed Warhammer army. If you played Warhammer Total War, you probably have seen them. It's all the kind of like traditional Chinese New Year dragon kind of stuff. Forgive me if I'm getting that culturally wrong. I did this with Aztecs and Mayans and I got shouted at by you guys, so I apologize. This is just me. I don't know a lot about Cathay. I don't really know a lot about China. So yeah, I don't know if I'm getting this massively wrong. But they are releasing a brand new army for the old world, which is pretty spectacular. And the first units they've got some basic infantry, which looks like they've got pretty decent armor. So if these guys have not got armor, they're not in heavy armor with a 4+, 5+, 4+ save, maybe 5+, 5+ save, maybe 4+ save with shields. I'm going to be really disappointed in that. Because they are chunky boys with the armor. So you've got the infantry, you've got 2 different types of cannon. One looks like a big howitzer, to be fair, and one looks like a rocket pod multi-launcher. And then you've got some Jade cavalry. Both of those units appear to be exactly the same. So they've gone ham with these units. So you've got 30 Jade warriors, Jade lancers, and then you've got a Cathayan grand cannon or a fire rain rocket battery. So a couple of very cool units there. These are some of the nicest models Games Workshop have done. It's really strange though, because they are modern sculpts. Like, these are proper sculpts. So they almost feel like they belong more with Age of Sigmar than they do with the old world. But that's probably just me kind of looking at it from a lens of a 6th edition player where we didn't have Cathay. We had the dream of Cathay, and that's not, you know, it's finally being realized. 20 years later, 25 years later, I suppose. 6th edition came out. When did 6th edition? Must have come out in the early 2000s. So you've got the rocket battery. Now, they've got some other very cool models, and I think this is where I get the Age of Sigmar vibe. So we've got the Shogungan Lord on Great Spirit Longmar. Yeah, right. We've got like this dragon horse thing. A Pegasus dragon horse. So scales of a dragon, wings of a dragon, shaped like, it's just kind of like a horse dragon really, with the kind of Chinese dragon moustache and antlers. It's a very, very, very cool model. I do find it really interesting because there's a lot of similarities in my mind from an aesthetic point of view between these guys and the Light Lords of Age of Sigmar, the replacement High Elves for Age of Sigmar. That's why I think this feels a bit more AOS-y. Plus, the models are not 20 years old. So, the Gate Masters of the Celestial Cities, you've got a plastic box kit. This, however, is very cool. There is a Sky Lantern. This is a whole flying ship that they're going to be releasing. And the beautiful thing about this is where they're making these plastic kits, they can do the big stuff and not have the weight be a massive problem. So really, really, really cool there. And the way they've painted it is very nice too. So it's always cool to see these new release stuff, and there's just so much character. This is really beautiful. But this is the one for me that stands out for Blood Bowl, and I'm thinking, yeah, this would be cool. And these are the Cathayan Sentinels. So these are just like big stone, big stone giants, and they are giants. So that base is massive. That is a massive base. I think these guys are absolutely huge. I wonder if they're going to be too big for Blood Bowl, but this whole thing is just absolutely making me want to jump into looking at a Cathayan Blood Bowl team, because I think this is going to land. I think this is going to be super popular, and I think the way Games Workshop works, like, people are going to be clamoring for a Cathay team because it just makes sense. So the armies of Grand Cathay, I don't think it talks about what their special things are. This is interesting because this is going to be the first time that an Arcane Journal's dropped where the rules are not for like the core force in the army book thing. So you're going to have all the units and all the rules in there. There's a couple more to go. There is Miao Ying, the Storm Dragon, which is a big old, again, Chinese style dragon with some very cool floating earth rocks and a wizard lady to go with it. The eldest living daughter of the Dragon Emperor. All right, very, very, very cool. Very lovely pair of models. Like, I mean, this wizard lady is a work of art. Again, because they've got like the big C crown. That C is in the letter. It is very much reminds me of the Light Boys from Age of Sigmar. So you've got cool dragons and this very much like ancient Chinese Red Cliff vibe here with some cool stone giants. The stone giants gonna be really good for Blood Bowl. The rest of it just really nice modeling potential, and this is why, like, I think we're going to start seeing a clamoring, if not potentially a release, because Games Workshop are obviously a bit bunged up when it comes to Blood Bowl releases. Clearly, it could be that we head down the way of Cathay, which would be really, really, really cool. Right, let's blitz through the 40k stuff. So Kill Team have got another release, another box coming out. Now, this rumour was kicking around that it was going to be Tyranids versus Adeptus Mechanicus, which are basically like Borg and like weird priests at the same time. I think that's the best way to describe them. And they're going to be going up against what looks to be a horde of Raveners, a kill team made entirely of Raveners. And it is. Now, the cool thing about Kill Team is they are able to kind of flex a little bit with the way models are designed. Now, the best one they've done were the Vespids, right? Where they could just do a unit, make it really cool. But the fact they've been able to open up with these Tyranids and give a few different versions of the Raveners is very cool. And I think there's a little base of like Gribblies too, and then you've got some AdMech guys. A couple of the AdMech guys are really old school, which I really love, and then you've just got Borg with guns, which these guys are straight up Borg with guns, so that's pretty cool too. And then you've got the Tyranid terrain that comes in the box, which was spoiled already, and you've got all the rules for Kill Team. So if you're a Kill Team fan, hope you like Tyranids and AdMech. So right, we're going to talk about this. Age of Sigmar got nothing. It got nothing. It got this box here, this spearhead box, which is just a pitch and some terrain. And they got no models. So there's a couple of things floating around in Age of Sigmar land that they've already spoiled before, and I think it was the undead or the vampire counts or whatever the heck they call them in Age of Sigmar land. And kind of assumed that would be the case and the AOS would get a big release, but instead you see the old world getting 3 armies, one of them a brand new faction with an entire set of brand new kits. And AOS gets some reboxes, some spearhead reboxes. Which, I mean, yeah, and they got the General's Handbook, which is totally fine. And it's not all for the Age of Sigmar. Scourge of Gyron is almost upon us. In the weeks leading up to the new General's Handbook, every faction will receive free content. All right, so they're going to get some more rules, some free rules, like they did with the Grotmus detachments in 40k. But otherwise, they got absolutely nothing. Chapter approved mission deck. If you're a 40k player, there's that. Right, there are some Chaos dudes. So the Pink Boys from Chaos, the Slanesh, oh my god, Emperor's Children, right? They got released recently, and Chaos Demons was its own faction for a bit. It started off being like, I think, an assist to Space Marine chapters, and then it went away for like 20 years, and then they're back. So the Emperor's Children book landed, and they put the Slaanesh demons in with Emperor's Children. Now they have dropped Khorne and the Nurgle and the Tzeentch lists as well. The books are coming for all of those, and there's some cool new models. There's a big old Khorne dude who, quite frankly, now just looks like Necromunda. So you've got the World Eaters Codex, you've got the Death Guard Codex, and scrolly, you've got the Thousand Suns Codex, so each of the gods. There's a couple of cool new models. So the big Khorne boy, another Death Guard guy who looks the same as every other Death Guard guy, but has a slightly different mask and a slightly bigger backpack. I'm sure he's very important. These are cool though. So these are Sekitar robots from Thousand Suns. So the Thousand Suns have unshackled dark vaults of ancient technology and now unleash the unsettling robotic forms of the Sekitar robots on the galaxy. So these are retro. They are static as you like. Like, as far as poses go from Games Workshop, I like it because that is appropriate for robots, but they've got this kind of Egyptian vibe. This is if this seems to be all the rage at the moment, right? Take big robots, make them gothic, horror, add demons and shinies. This is pretty wicked. They do look like Tzeentch robots. This looks like something from Space Quest, which is very, very, very cool. And of course you've got the books and stuff for 40k, which leaves us with I mean, there's a Crusade Armageddon bit, which is just a book. I don't think there's any new models. Oh no, the baby walker, the baby carrier for Grey Knights is getting some bits, additional parts to give him a flail. Doesn't fix the terrible design of the model, where he looks like me in robot form walking Libby when she was little. Not really great for gaming. And then you've got the Space Wolves. So if you like Space Marines and you like Vikings and you've not bought them in any form for the last 40 years, well, there's going to be some different Space Vikings now. So the Space Wolves big box is coming, and I mean, this is really interesting because I'm not too close to 40k. I love sci-fi wargaming. I've kind of gone into the land of OPR and Daka and stuff for that now, because 40k, the rules are just a bit much for me these days. Because of that, I don't know if these models are new. I mean, they're showing them off, so I'm assuming they're new, but these are just assault intercessors with Space Wolf bits. I don't know if the entire kit is new or whether they've just got an accessory sprue, but yeah. And then you've got the same here. One thing I do like is they've got, well, you've got to assume that these are these Primaris? If they are, they look like they're Primaris, but they've got some old Mark 6. Oh yeah, they're definitely Primaris. They've got some Mark 6 Corvus helmets, and they've got some Mark 7 helmets there, which is very cool. It's good to see Primaris with Mark 7 helmets. That's a look I can go along with, or, you know, that is definitely a look I can go along with. You've got the Mark, I think it's 9, the Primaris stuff, or maybe even 10. There's Mark 9, this Mark 10 is like the chunky boy Gravis armor. Don't know, I've been out of it a while. But I tell you what, old school Space Marine heads on Primaris, that Games Workshop, that is clever. Then you've got some wolf boys with wolf friends. I mean, yeah, cool. Space wolves, they're like wolves. You've got a wolf guard battle leader, and you've got a wolf priest, and you've got a wolf book. So if you like space wolves, have some space wolves. I mean, yeah, they're cool. Some of them are new, some of them might not be new. So as it comes to it, that is everything that was at Adepticon. There was no Blood Bowl, but we've got Cathay for the old world, which is very cool. There's some old cool models. So you've got the Wood Elf Tree Man, you've got the Cathayan statue guy, who we can definitely rob and use for Blood Bowl as a Tree Man or a giant. You've got the Bull Titan for Beastman, which definitely makes a really good Titan. That's very, very cool. Titan, I mean giant. And some interesting 40k bits. Kill Team, it's good to see them add some new models. The problem is they tend to either go too unique, where every model is its own little unit, or too similar. So having a unit of Raveners be the entire Kill Team, it just kind of looks like a box of Raveners. A better box of Raveners, but still a box of Raveners, which, yeah, I mean, Raveners are cool. So yeah, interesting preview. Not as splashy from a, do you know what? The big thing about being like Cathay landing for the old world is a big splash. That should have been the entire preview by itself, because that is just hype. The 40k was a bit to be expected. They've done the roadmap, haven't they? So it's kind of like, we know what's coming for 40k. Next up, you've got knights and stuff, and it's kind of like, oh. And the problem is, if they're not adding loads of new models, the previews are kind of one new model and a book. It's not really a new release for Games Workshop. Like that's a really tough place for them to be, because now they're at this point where they're saturated. Their own ranges are saturated, and I think the only way you can do interesting things is to do refreshes. And when you do a refresh, it's quite cool, but if the models look too similar, it's kind of not very exciting. And if the models look too different, it's kind of a bit of a problem. So they're kind of boxed in that regard. We want to see new creativity from Games Workshop, and they're doing great work. Cathay is fantastic. We've not seen which new model kits are going to land for the Wood Elves and the Beastmen for the old world. I was surprised not to see some more AOS, and obviously I'm always gagging for like a boxed game or something, but not bad, not the best. Cathay for old world, Cathay for Blood Bowl. Come on, let's go. Anyway, let me know what you think, and we'll be back soon with Blood Bowl content, probably. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more. I just said that. I mean, happy blocking.